Hi there, I am Elisa, and I'm back here with one of our almost final social emotional learning competencies that we've been going over. So, uh, after this video, we will be down to just two remaining videos in this series. So, thank you for joining me. Today, we are talking about self control. Um, Something that a lot of our kids struggle with, right? So let's take a look at just a kid-friendly definition of self-control. This one's real simple. Thinking before speaking or acting. That shows that we have self-control when we stop and we think before we lash out or before we say something that we regret. So, what are some activities that you can do with your kids or your students to help them learn about self control? So, here are a few ideas for you. So, the first one is not so much an activity as it is just sort of a recommendation. And that is if you have kids, particularly um, in a classroom environment, that really struggle to um, not take things. I know a big one in classrooms is like taking candy or, little pencils or erasers or things from the treasure box, like from the teacher's desk. So this is just sort of a pro tip um, and pretty common sense also. Like just keep those temptations hidden um, so that kids are able to be successful as you're teaching them about self control. It's going to be very hard for them to be successful if those temptations are out for them and they see them, right? Um, for the older kids, it's going to be important that we teach them how to eliminate distractions. Um, and this is something that you kind of have to gauge the appropriateness of with your kids or your students age wise. So the one that comes to mind is teaching kids how to eliminate the distraction of their technology, right? Their devices that are always next to them, that they constantly want to check rather than um, being focused on researching for a project or a paper. So we have to give them ways to eliminate those distractions and talk to them about it and have those conversations um, so that they are aware that those things are distractions and then what we need to do to kind of get over that hurdle. A great way to teach self-control in the younger kids are some of those kind of classic games, right? Freeze tag, red light, green light, because the first thing that we're doing is helping them learn to control their bodies, right? We kind of have to start there. We can't go straight into well, we need to think before we speak or before we act. We have to teach them this idea of self control. And the easiest way to do that for younger kids is through body control. And then it's going to be really important that you create a structure, you create routines, and you're consistent with those. Um, Again, some of our kiddos fall apart and have a really hard time controlling themselves when there is a complete lack of structure. So if they know what's expected of them and they know what's coming next and what the structure is each day, it's going to be much easier for them to put into practice what we're teaching them about self control. And then lastly, explain the reasoning behind the rules. For kids that kind of lose it over certain rules, a lot of times it's because they don't understand the logic behind it. So let's just take 30 seconds to explain it to them so they understand why we have certain rules, right? Why we have certain expectations, so that we can help them in the end to be more successful. All right, some really great picture books that you can use to help kids better understand self control. Um, Clark the Shark, that's a whole series. So there are lots and lots of those books that you can use. Same with the David books. David Gets in Trouble. There are quite a few of those. Um, so you can pick and choose, from those series. My Mouth is a Volcano is a good one. You can, I'm sure, imagine what kind of self-control is needed in that book. Same with Lacey Walker, Nonstop Talker. So some of these your kids may really relate to, depending on what type of class you have. If you have a really chatty class, some of these may be right up your alley. Too Loud Lily, again, kind of goes along with that theme of our chatty kiddos are ones that are just a little bit louder and more talkative than maybe we want them to be. So, all right, hopefully you can check out some of these books. If you have other ones, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. And I will be back here next time. And we are down to our final 2 videos of this series. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you back here for our next video.